Hey guys, we've got an exciting one today. We've got two of the highest volume selling cars across the entire globe, the Toyota RAV4 and the Tesla Model Y. And we're going to compare two variants, which are very similar in price when you purchase them under a novated lease agreement. Very, very popular currently in Australia. So let's have a look at what it all means for your take-home pay and all the figures, all the costs. And we're going to do that as we jump over to the desktop. Okay, so let's jump into the first vehicle, the Toyota RAV4, and we've got the Cruiser in all-wheel drive as our model and variant, and that's going to come in at a full drive-away price of $65,011. And we've chosen this one because it's very close to that of the Model Y drive-away price, which we'll see in just a moment. And let's jump over to the Novated Lease calculator. Now, this is a calculator I have built for my own informational and educational purposes. It's certainly not to be used in place of getting your own proper quotes or financial advice. It's purely just there to try and help you look at different scenarios and to be a little bit more forthcoming with the information as to what you might experience with something like a novated lease company that is there to try and sell you the product. And we're going to run through it. I've already pre-filled a lot of the information, and that's just so that you don't have to sit there and listen to me tapping away at the keyboard. But these numbers will hopefully make sense as we go down. So both scenarios, we're going to use a $100,000 a year annual gross salary. And this is our breakdown. So essentially I've worked back from the drive-away price and we've got 62,731 as the FBT base value. And then what we do is add the on-road costs, which are exclusive of GST. So we've got the stamp duty, the reg on plate fees added together, and the CTP insurance for the first year. Ignore this is part of the finance. We'll see that in a moment. But you can see here that the on-road cost inclusive of GST is $65,011, which matches with our RAV4 from the Toyota website. Now, as we go down, we've got a few other details, and you'll see that the amount financed on the lease is obviously removing some of the GST component. And we've got an establishment fee, and then the other fee is this one here, which is a PPSR fee. And this is just based off a provider that I have actually received quotes from and gone and done the research with. We're going to use a 3-year lease term in both scenarios, annual kilometers of 15,000. And this particular car being the RAV4, it is hybrid. It's not a pure electric vehicle. So we're going to leave this off, which is probably the most important part. Let's just leave it at 9.5%. And we're going to use the advance plus 1 month deferred, which is common in leasing. And our annual management fees, I've just used an approximate from what I've seen on other quotes. So $360 for the year. Okay, with the bundled running costs, I will preface this by saying I have excluded charging and fuel on both scenarios, just because I feel like I don't need to add that extra layer of complexity when comparing the two, but we're still going to get a pretty good comparison when it comes to these two cars under a novated lease. Registration and CTP, you have to be aware that obviously your car comes with a year worth. So let's make sure that we do work out what the annual cost is for 2 renewals. So what I've done is work that out. I've put in an approximate figure for the rego renewal twice across the course of the lease, comprehensive insurance per annum. And that is, just an approximation based on some research that I've done, and servicing and tires. But for the purpose of this, let's just leave them both the same. Yes, the servicing and tire costs are not likely to be exactly the same, nor the comprehensive insurance. But I think for the purpose of the exercise, let's just leave it at that. So we're going to have a look down through here in the detailed view, set monthly. And I believe that just is the simplest way to look at this. So first and foremost, we show the gross salary, and that's just based on this annual gross of 100,000. So $8,333 a month. And we're going to push through down this column, which is what we're going to see happen to our pay when we're financing the RAV4 under a novated lease. So out of our pre-tax pay, we're going to actually contribute $648. And then that will then in turn reduce our taxable income. So you can see here, instead of $8,333 a month, we go $7,685 per month as our taxable income. So we've paid off some of the novated lease repayment for the month. And we will then have our salary after tax, which is here, $5,994 a month. But we've still got quite a large portion to pay. And you can see here that, yes, we've got this pre-tax deduction, but we still have a post-tax salary deduction, which is helping to comply with the Fringe Benefits Tax arrangements that we need to take care of, being that it's not an EV. So the employee contribution method will help wipe this out. So we need to make a payment of $1,046 per month, which leaves our total salary deduction here, $1,694 per month. And then we have a tax saving as a result of this of $207. This is where you might see some novated lease companies tell you that your payment is effectively $1,694 less $207 a month. So it's showing you what it is with the savings. And I think it's fair, obviously, if you are going to be there and you don't want to sort of see a completely transparent payment, but you can see exactly how we're working it out with this particular calculator. And then down the bottom, I like to compare because most people are going to be buying this sort of car, whether it be novated lease or car loan. They're not going to be, just taking it out of their cash savings a lot of the time. They're going to be comparing the two options. So when we compare the two versus each other, this gives us a good overview of which way is, I guess, better financially, without taking into consideration some of the other, I guess, restrictions when it comes to a novated lease. But you can see here, we've got our pre-tax deductions, which is across the life of the 36-month term. And then we've got our post-tax ECM contribution, which is $37,638. So a very, very substantial jump compared to what is actually coming out pre-tax. And now you'll see that there is a saving here, which is the income tax saved. So what they're doing to work this out is this figure plus this figure, which is the actual repayments. Then every loan we're going to have to pay off at the end, the balloon figure. So we add that on and we take away the tax savings, which gives us a total out-of-pocket cost, which is $83,585 in this particular scenario, suggesting the same with your car loan. Running costs are all paid post-tax. So this is the cost, including running of the vehicle. Keep that in mind. And then the total out-of-pocket with the car loan is $89,931. So it's suggesting the lease is going to be $6,345 better off, all things going well. Okay, and at the very bottom, we have our estimated take-home pay, and that's with both scenarios after you've paid all the running costs. So you should see here that you've got a slightly larger amount estimated take-home with the novated lease, which is where this difference comes from. Okay, and now we've got the Model Y. So Tesla Model Y, and we've just gone with the standard premium rear-wheel drive model. You can see here the price is a couple of $100 less than that of the RAV4, but a fairly close comparison. So $64,832 drive away. I like Tesla here because they've got such a great breakdown and makes it very easy to put into the calculator. So let's jump over to the one which we have pre-filled with the Model Y. So let's scroll back up. We've got our same $100,000 salary. We've got the FBT base value, which has come straight from the quote. We've popped in the stamp duty, all the details that we've still got on that quote. And you can see here, $64,832, which matches perfectly with this, $64,832. Now, with the financing side of things, you can see everything's remained the same. So $325 establishment, 3 years. And we've got a very important part here, which is the pure electric vehicle FBT exempt. So we're going to slide that across, which we've done, and we're going to use the same interest rate, the same sort of structure, and the same management fees. And you'll also notice here that I've got the exact same figures in here for the insurance and the servicing tires, just as I discussed with the RAV4. But let's scroll up and go through the all-important stuff. And this, guys, is going to be fairly eye-opening, I think, for some people when they realize the difference that is actually in place when it comes to financing a pure electric car under a novated lease. So we're going to jump back into the calculator and we're going to run through the exact same numbers, but this time with the Model Y, and you can see the comparison in good detail. Okay, so same thing here. We go detailed view monthly, and we're going to see we've got the same salary, gross salary, but one very substantial difference here is with the EV, we're going to take the entire amount out pre-tax. So you'll see that your taxable income is reduced significantly. And we'll see our pre-tax deduction here with a $0 post-tax salary deduction. So in this instance, we're going to be saving quite a lot more in tax. So it's a very straightforward one there because we don't have to talk about the ECM, so the employee contribution method. It's all just taken pre-tax. Now, when we go to compare versus the standard car loan, you can see here that we've got salary sacrifice, all pre-tax, $39,048 over the 36-month lease. And we've got our balloon figure at the end, which is $29,992, and obviously slightly higher again with this particular finance on a normal car loan. Now, the income tax saved is a significant jump. You can see here $18,375 tax saved, and our total out of pocket, $69,040. Keep in mind, this includes actually running the vehicle as well in both scenarios. So you can see here the $10,000 running costs, and it's the same here. The lease actually includes those in there. You can see the lease saves over a car loan over $20,000, a significant amount. And the difference in take-home pay is $593. So there we have it, guys. We've got the Tesla Model Y taking a significant chunk out of financing the Toyota RAV4 Cruiser when it comes to the novated lease option. Approximately $14,000 in difference when you compare the two vehicles done under a novated lease. And obviously, it's something worth considering. I'm not here to say what is the best. I'm just really showing you the differences in the figures. I don't think it's something that a lot of people really dive into when they're considering taking out a novated lease. And there's plenty of EV options out there. So it's certainly something worth putting on the radar if you are coming up to your end of lease and looking to buy the next one, or if you are considering an EV and unsure whether you should look at doing it with a novated lease, if it is an option for you. I'm sure that there might be plenty of questions, and feel free to ask in the comments. Feel free to let me know if you feel like any of this is incorrect or if I've made any errors. Like I said, it is purely for educational purposes. It's not for financial advice. And I would encourage everyone to just go and get their standard quotes on any novated leases or car loan options they're considering, because this is all based off my own interpretation of quotes that I've received to try and replicate exactly what's coming out through those particular channels. And guys, if this video has been of any benefit to you, I would love it if you could like the video and subscribe to my channel. It goes a long way to helping me to continue that motivation on putting out these sorts of videos. Hopefully you are getting some benefit from it. It's allowing you to formulate some further questions to ask. And at the moment, it's a pretty hot topic, and I'm hoping to try and demystify the whole novated leasing thing to give other people a more broad understanding of it as we go. And if you do have any questions, or you would like me to compare other vehicles under a novated lease, salaries, whatever it may be, throw it in the comments, and I will see if I can get round to doing that at some point over the coming weeks. Thanks.